He was supposed to protect and serve the people here of Hidalgo, but Police Chief Rudy Espinosa was booked in by the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office early Thursday morning. Deputies arrested him for assaulting one of his family members at 2:16 this morning. The 30-year law enforcement veteran has been in our headlines before.
You know, we are obviously hold to higher standards.
Espinosa is currently suspended with pay after city officials say he's under investigation for allegations of workplace conduct and conflicts of interest. This comes after Espinosa was accused of asking officers to demote tickets to warnings. According to documents obtained by CBS4 back in 2015, Hidalgo police officers downgraded dozens of tickets after Chief Espinosa told them to. Shortly after those ticket troubles, Espinosa allegedly accidentally shot himself in the foot in November of 2015.
Professionals make decisions.
Despite his assault charge, Espinosa is still chief of police for Hidalgo, but remains suspended. At this time, no one has been named interim or acting chief of police. Rudy Espinosa's son is Alexis Espinosa, a former Mission Police officer convicted of being involved in a money laundering scheme with Mexican cartels. He was arrested for his involvement in the Panama Unit scandal. Right now, it's unclear how Espinosa allegedly assaulted the family member and what their relationship is. As we learn that information, we will update you online and on air. Reporting in Hidalgo with complete Valley coverage, Sydney Hernandez, CBS 4 Valley at 6.
Still with the update there from Branson. Thanks. Accusations of inmate abuse, endangering children, and impersonating an officer are flying in Texas County tonight.
These two, the Texas County Sheriff James Sigmund and Deputy Jennifer Tomaszewski, are in jail in Greene and Shannon counties tonight. In this Color 10 investigative report, we're speaking with the special prosecutor who will be handling this complicated case.
Yeah, our Colin Lingo is here to explain just what led up to these arrests. Colin.
Well, David and Heather, it's a lot, enough to possibly warrant some serious jail time for these two law enforcement officers.
Texas County Sheriff James Sigmund and Deputy Jennifer Tomaszewski. Both are facing assault, robbery, child endangerment, unlawful use of a weapon, harassment, misuse of information by a public servant, and false impersonation charges.
The grand jury indicted yesterday afternoon on both persons.
Don Trotter, a specially appointed prosecutor for this case out of Lawrence County, explains most of these offenses were led by Tomaszewski, while the sheriff allowed them to happen.
He aided or helped her to allow her to be able to do the crimes that she committed.
For example, the probable cause statement says, back in 2016 when Tomaszewski was a jailer, the sheriff allowed her to wear a uniform indistinguishable from that of a sworn deputy's and carry a deputy's weapon, sometimes a Glock, sometimes the sheriff's AR-15. The statement also alleges it was while working a search warrant with sworn deputies Tomaszewski, still a civilian, pulled that pistol on a group of bystanders who were filming and taking pictures of the officers. Eventually, the statement says she took one of their phones at gunpoint.
Again, Sheriff Sigmund was acting in concert on that. He wasn't the actual actor.
The allegations continue, noting that in February of 2018, Tomaszewski assaulted an inmate identified as A.W., who the probable cause statement notes has, quote, the mental capacity of a 9-year-old child.
It was a mentally challenged individual was assaulted in the jail.
The statement says it was during an altercation A.W. was rendered unconscious, possibly due to a chokehold placed on him. Deputies reported seeing Tomaszewski strike A.W. in the face with her elbows while A.W. was, quote, completely unconscious.
The sheriff's charges are acting in concert with that person.
One deputy quoted in the statement said, if we hadn't been there, they would have killed that boy. He was completely unconscious and his lips were turning blue. Finally, the statement says Sigmund allowed Tomaszewski to bring a child into the jail facility on multiple occasions, sometimes around unsecured inmates. It says once that child even fed inmates at lunchtime and ate with 2 inmates in the jail kitchen. One of those inmates, a sexually violent offender.
Now, if you would like to read even more detail about this case, you can do so. Read the probable cause statement.
Authorities booked a Claiborne County sheriff into his own jail today. He and 2 of his employees face charges.
10 News reporter Gabrielle Hayes is live in New Tazewell to explain the charges to us. Gabrielle?
That's right. TBI announced Sheriff David Ray's arrest today. Now, it all comes after a grand jury indicted him on a slew of charges That includes 7 counts of official misconduct, 1 count of using an inmate for personal gain, 1 count of forgery, and 6 counts of attempt to evade or defeat tax due. Sheriff Ray is accused of using inmates to work on his personal vehicles and to put together campaign signs for him. He's also accused of trying to get around paying taxes on personal cars he sold. The TBI says officers also arrested 2 sheriff's office employees. Larry Allen Roberts, known as Fireball, is charged with 2 counts of official misconduct. He's accused of using a county car to get a controlled substance. And Captain Larry Lee Martin is charged with 3 counts of being a felon in possession of a firearm. This state and federal investigation began in August of 2017. TBI and the FBI then raided the sheriff's office in May. At the time, the county mayor said financial records were the reason for that. Bob Brooks is the sheriff-elect. He says he has one essential goal: to restore confidence in the sheriff's office.
And my job is to heal this county and move it forward and gain back the respect of the citizens.
We'll hear more from the sheriff-elect tonight at 11. The Claiborne County mayor and several commissioners were not available to comment. They are in Nashville. All 3 men are due in court September 10th. Back to you.
Gabrielle, thank you.
And this is not the first arrest for Sheriff Ray. More than 10 years ago, he faced charges for rape around the same time he began his tenure as sheriff.
Before serving as sheriff, David Ray was a Sessions Court judge in Claiborne County. He was elected sheriff in August 2006. In December of that year, he was accused of raping a 17-year-old girl. Those charges were dismissed in 2008. Voters re-elected him in 2010 and again in 2014. In May, TBI agents raided his office. In August, he lost his re-election bid to Bobby Brooks, who won by a 3-to-1 margin.
Again, more on that story coming up tonight.
A Williamson County deputy is fired after he was charged with resisting arrest and public intoxication. KVUE News has learned the deputy is 41-year-old Jack Danford Jr. Jenny Lee joins us now with the story. Jenny?
Terry, Danford was at a North Austin barbecue restaurant called Oakwood Barbecue Saturday night when trouble started. Now, Oakwood isn't open on Mondays. And according to court documents, Austin police responded to a disturbance call there Saturday night just before 7:45. Now, when officers arrived in the back patio, they immediately smelled a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from Danford. The officer described Danford's speech as slurred, mumbled, and difficult to understand. Danford was also wobbling, unsteady on his feet. Officers had to help him walk to keep him from falling over. And as the officer reached for Danford's wallet to check his ID, Danford grabbed the officer's wrist and wouldn't let go. And despite several officers commanding him to let go several times, Danford refused. 2 officers and Danford fell to the ground during a struggle. A baton had to be used on him, on his back, before he eventually let go. These alleged actions led to Danford being fired.
You just said you have so little information. Why fire the deputy so quickly? Is it because his actions were so egregious?
Well, when you talk about certain offenses, it almost, the rest of the story doesn't have to be there. In other words, when you talk about the charges that we're talking about here, resisting arrest and public intoxication, those are serious accusations. And from the story I was able to confirm, that I won't share at this point, that demonstrates to me that we have enough to make the indefinite suspension.
Now, as you just heard, Williamson County Sheriff Robert Chody allude to another incident. Now, APD would only say they're working an open investigation into Danford at this time, but we do know he is out on bail. Mike?
Ellis County Sheriff Johnny Brown pleaded guilty to assault today, then resigned and gave up his peace officer's license. This all happened this morning. Fox 4 first broke the story in January of the investigation into a fight at a Whataburger restaurant involving then Sheriff Brown and his brother. As part of the case and plea deal, Sheriff Brown was arrested, had his mugshot taken, and then he was released. Brandon Todd was in court and has more on the story you saw first on Fox 4. Brandon.
Yeah, Steve, Johnny Brown was fingerprinted, booked, and then had his mugshot taken by the very deputies that he once commanded. All of this part of a deal that he struck with prosecutors, all from a fight that Brown characterized as an unfortunate incident. Former Ellis County Sheriff Johnny Brown walked into court pleading guilty to misdemeanor assault just moments after he resigned.
Put a release out a little bit.
Brown, who served 2 terms as sheriff and was recently reelected, admitted to assaulting Matthew Longoria early New Year's morning at this Midlothian Whataburger. Longoria and his friend told police Bobby Brown, the sheriff's brother, started a fight with one of them after words were exchanged. Longoria also told police when witnesses threatened to call the cops, Sheriff Brown bragged, "We are the cops."
When you're elected as sheriff, you swear in to protect the people of your county, and I just feel like he didn't do his job that night.
The fight was captured on cell phone video and surveillance cameras, video that has not been released. Sources say that was convincing evidence of Brown's guilt. The Montgomery County DA, brought in to prosecute the case, praised the victims.
I thought that they were a good reflection of what our youth is. They showed restraint and judgment. They accepted the fact that Mr. Brown accepted responsibility.
As part of the plea deal, Johnny Brown also agreed to surrender his peace officer certificate and pay a $500 fine. He declined an on-camera interview, but said in a statement, "I have also taken ownership of the criminal responsibility that arose from my participation in the incident involving my brother and third parties. I offer my most sincere apologies to any and all who I may have hurt or disappointed."
It was not that he was not without any type of fault or responsibility, but he ultimately bit the bullet on this and took full responsibility for the things going forward for the benefit of this office and this county and the citizens.
And of course, Brown added in his statement that he just didn't have any interest in trying to fight this and drag it out into the courts. Now, the case and investigation into his brother's role in that fight is ongoing. Well, the surveillance video from inside Whataburger that led to Ellis County Sheriff Johnny Brown losing his job and his brother going to jail was released to the public yesterday. Midlothian police say it tells the story of exactly what happened and was a large part of their evidence against the former sheriff. And for the first time, the victim in the case is able to tell his side.
That's going to be Bobby Brown standing right there. You can just see he's in the black vest.
New Year's morning, the Whataburger lobby in Midlothian. That's Bobby Brown in the cowboy hat, the brother of former Ellis County Sheriff Johnny Brown, talking to 4 young men who had just had some sort of verbal spat with Brown and his friends in the parking lot.
He's got his hands up in the air and kind of happened quick. But Matt pushed him down in defense of his friend, and then that's the sheriff coming in right there in the cowboy hat and orange shirt. He did connect a couple of times with Matt, hit him in the face. But then once Matt got a hold of his hands, he just held him, was able to hold him.
That was the whole him yelling, nobody punches my brother, no one, all the expletives he was yelling at me, like, I'm going to break your arm, put a bunch of other dog language in there.
Matthew Longoria, the man the former sheriff was tussling with, says when he saw Bobby Brown punch his friend,
that was my first reaction, was to just, get the guy off my friend. And I don't know, I didn't really think I pushed him that hard.
Midlothian police say as patrons and some of Longoria's friends were calling 911, there were several minutes of verbal back and forth.
There was a lot of me saying, hey, you guys are 40 years our senior, like, in what world was this acceptable? And one of their friends was actually like, well, this is how we used to do it back in the day.
The video then shows Bobby Brown coming back in the restaurant.
And the sheriff stopping him, he comes in pretty quick.
And this time, his target seemed to be Longoria.
Bobby Brown, you can still tell he's kind of agitated. He's going to come around here, and this is when he assaults Matt.
Midlothian officers arrived and began interviewing the manager.
That's the manager that's standing right there.
Who immediately described the sheriff, his brother, and friends as the aggressors.
And as he was talking to the manager, Johnny kept trying to interject himself and telling her, no, that's not what happened. So Officer Walters couldn't get a clear story, and at that time he just asked him, sir, I don't want you to intimidate her, you need to go step outside. And the sheriff, he did go ahead and comply and step outside at that time so Officer Walters could get the statement from the manager.
Former Sheriff Johnny Brown would eventually plead guilty to misdemeanor assault and surrendered his peace officer's license. This week, Bobby Brown also pled guilty to misdemeanor assault, got a 5-day jail sentence and a $1,000 fine. Longoria says he's satisfied with the punishment and wasn't aware of one other part of Bobby Brown's punishment. He has to write a letter of apology to Longoria and his friend.
Does he really?
Yeah.
that will be the icing on the cake. I think there's something missing, and I think that might be it.
Now, we reached out to former Sheriff Johnny Brown. He declined our request.
A police officer is facing a murder charge this morning in the shooting death of a 15-year-old boy. Body cameras played a big part in the decision to charge this officer, and ABC's Eva Pilgrim is on the story. Eva, good morning to you.
Good morning. That body camera video changing the narrative of what happened the night of the shooting. While police say they're not releasing that video until after the investigation is complete this morning, the teen's family is saying they are grateful charges have been filed.
Overnight, a Texas police officer turning himself in on murder charges. The officer released after posting bond. Officer Roy Oliver fired after police say he violated department policies when allegedly shooting and killing 15-year-old honor student Jordan Edwards.
After reviewing the findings, I have made the decision to terminate Roy Oliver.
According to police, it all started at this home Saturday night after receiving reports of a large house party. Police initially saying when they arrived, they heard gunfire and encountered a car filled with teenagers backing towards them, allegedly attempting to use the vehicle as a weapon. That's when police say Officer Oliver fired his rifle at the car. But earlier this week, the police backtracking, saying after watching two separate body cam videos, it was clear the teens were driving away from the officers.
Up some chairs for you guys.
The teen's parents wiping away tears, telling ABC News the magnitude of his horrible actions cannot be overstated, and that our family is working hard to deal with the loss of our beloved Jordan.
They want to see him prosecuted. They want to see him convicted.
Now, a community grieving, remembering the promising freshman football player.
We will never forget Jordan and the impact he had on all of us.
And we have reached out to the officer's attorney and have not heard back. He faces up to life in prison if convicted.
Growing outrage back here at home over a tasing incident in Glendale, Arizona. A passenger in a car is tased repeatedly after he says he does not have his ID, as his wife and children begged police to stop. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman, and we warn you, this is difficult.
The newly released body camera video begins with a request.
What's your name?
And it ends in a spasm of violence. Minutes earlier, Glendale, Arizona police officers stopped this car for a turn signal violation. Officer Matthew Schneider almost immediately putting hands on that passenger, Johnny Wheatcroft.
Relax.
I am, dude. Stop.
Officers tasering him, struggling to cuff Wheatcroft, who's tangled in the seatbelt. It devolves. Wheatcroft's wife striking an officer, their children watching and crying out.
Daddy!
Yeah.
No!
The July 2017 incident now coming to light in a federal lawsuit that claims wrongful arrest and excessive force, saying Wheatcroft was tased 11 times.
Put your phones away so we can start.
Overnight, the department, which dropped the charges, refusing to answer questions on camera.
An internal police department review, David, found that Schneider had acted with, quote, gross negligence, yet he was only suspended for 3 days without pay. David.
Matt Gutman tonight. All right, thanks, Matt.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
A federal lawsuit against 3 state troopers. He claims one trooper assaulted and wrongfully arrested him for failing to show identification.
He's accused the other two of failing to stop the arrest. KB defender Andy Parati has the exclusive video the man says documents his allegations.
The truck was over there.
Ray Muniz says this parking lot is where his life changed forever.
We were parked over by where that red vehicle is.
It's all recorded on this May 2012 DPS dashboard camera video. DPS trooper Chancey Davis and his partner pull over this car off Springdale Road. A truck was parked nearby in front of a window tinting business. One of the 2 men inside, Muniz. Troopers allow the driver they pulled over to leave. They then approached the truck demanding their identification. Muniz questions why.
I told the officer if he just waited a few minutes, my boss would pull up and tell him that we worked here.
And his bosses did arrive less than 3 minutes into the video. 2 minutes later, another business owner arrives, confirming Muniz works at the shop.
Why the officer kept on after that? Beyond me.
That situation should have been over at that point.
Jeff Kelly is Muniz's attorney.
The inquiry should have stopped. The officer should have left. My client should have been able to go on with his workday.
Trooper Davis didn't leave. Instead, he repeats Muniz is breaking the law by failing to provide his identification.
So right now I can arrest both of you for failed ID. And then the second thing is you for resisting arrest.
In a federal lawsuit filed this past November, Muniz also claims Trooper Davis assaulted him by repeatedly pecking Muniz's chest with his index finger. You can't see it in the video, but you can hear Muniz asking Trooper Davis to stop touching him.
Stop it. Right now. Okay? I am not doing anything. You are the one that has touched me several times. You have assaulted me.
He was doing it hard, trying to get a rise out of me.
Turn around, put your hands on your back.
A few minutes later, Trooper Davis formally arrests Muniz for failing to show his identification and resisting arrest. In the video, Muniz doesn't appear to physically resist. DPS takes Muniz to jail, where he spends 2 nights behind bars. Troopers later find Muniz has a clean record. A few months later, the Travis County District Attorney's Office drops all charges.
Some people may look at the video and say, well, why not just provide your ID?
This is America. This isn't Nazi Germany. Show me your papers, please.
DPS told me it cannot comment on pending litigation or the trooper's actions, and it would not put me in touch with Trooper Davis. So what does Texas law say? Statute 38.02 of the Texas Penal Code reads, it's against the law to refuse to give your name, address, or date of birth to an officer, but only if the person refuses after they're arrested. Jennifer Lauren is a law professor at the University of Texas who specializes in criminal law.
So in the instance of simply not telling the police who you are, actually the law only makes that a crime if you're under arrest.
In the video, you can hear Muniz ask whether he's under arrest multiple times. Trooper Davis never answers.
You're being detained. For what? Am I under arrest? You're being detained. Am I under arrest? You're being detained. Am I under arrest? Turn around. Wait, am I under arrest?
This is 2014. This stuff needs to stop.
Muniz hopes his lawsuit and the video will show law enforcement cross the line. It's important to note that by law, you must show your ID, your driver's license, if you're pulled over while driving. Officers tell us that when someone fails to provide their ID, it does arouse suspicion, suspecting that they're trying to hide something or that there is a warrant that may be issued for their arrest. Tonight on the Night Beat, see what happens after an Austin police officer arrived at the scene and why this isn't the first time he's been accused of mishandling a 911 call. Andy Parati, KVUE News.
Well, here we go again. I'll tell you, man, I don't like seeing this cops like this. And I mean, I can see a young cop doing this because when cops are young, they tend to kind of like to test out their power. But it just seems more and more as we're getting more and more video that this contempt of cop and police abuse of their power is just really getting close to being almost out of control. I mean, it happens a lot, and too much. But you know, you don't see any cops getting disciplined very much, and it's unfortunate. But this case right here, again, I'm gonna as a use of force expert testifying for cops. When they use force or reviewing use of force things to see if it's justified, I've seen good and bad. And I'll tell you what, if I was use of force expert on this case, this guy's not going to like me too much. Let's watch the video here, and then I'll go back and kind of explain.
Get out of the car! And then I will light you up. Get out! Wow. Now! You okay?
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me to do?
You seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. Because I feel like this cap is what I'm getting the ticket for. I was getting out of your way.
Are you done?
You asked me what was wrong, and I told you.
Do you mind putting out your cigarette, please?
I'm in my car. Why do I have to put out my cigarette?
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car. Get out of the car now, or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my
I'm going to yank you out of here. Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take me out of
You are
my
under
car.
arrest.
I'm under arrest for what?
25,
For what?
7 County FM 1098.
For a failure to signal. You're doing all of this for
Get over there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
This right here says a warning. You started creating the problems.
You asked me what was wrong.
Do you have
I'm trying to
anything
tell
on
you.
your person that's
Do
illegal?
it feel like I got anything on me? This is a fucking maxi dress. You're about to break my wrist. Can you stop? You are about to fucking break my wrist. Stop! Full traffic signal.
You are yanking around. When you pull away from me, you're resisting arrest.
Good. Just slam me, knock my head in the ground. I got epilepsy, you motherfucker.
Good.
I hope I.
Good.
Good. You should have thought about that before you start resisting. All right.
Okay, so this is a case where this girl hung herself, according to government-controlled media and government-released press releases. Like I said, my default, anytime I read something in the paper, is I don't believe it. If it comes from the government or the media is saying what the government told them. Now, hopefully, the more people involved in the cover-up, the harder it is to cover it up. So, did she probably hang herself? Yeah, I think she probably did. But that's beside the point. Now, should she have been in jail? I don't think so. And should this guy be charged with murder? Because this thing says, if you play the tape further, it says the DA is investigating this as a murder. I don't believe that. And if the DA is saying that, he's might be saying that. I mean, this guy's got to, in order to prove murder on this cop, it's got to show that this guy could reasonably believe that a person would hang themselves because they were arrested, and that's not going to fly. So he may be saying he's investigated his murder just to appease the black community, because this is going to turn into a white cop black thing when it really is a use of force, government, lack of control of government power thing. So I'm going to go back here.
And then you
I will light you up. Get out.
Wow.
Now.
Okay. So now when he tells her to get out, when an officer orders you out of the car and you don't comply, that's what I kind of call creating the exigency. It's kind of like CHP. And again, this is a highway patrolman, and I've said it in other videos. The guys who work traffic on the highways are the most power-hungry kind of abusive guys there are, in my experience, working with cops. It's always the state police, the California Highway Patrol, this guy's DPS. Wherever you go, the state police thinks they're better than everybody else because they work for the state and they can go anywhere in the state, and they're state officers, and they program them. And if you've ever seen police academies from state police academies, it's all about humiliation, beating them down, trying to make them think that they're the best, and they've got to really put up with a lot of stuff to get through, and it's not easy. And when you get out there, you have to make people respect your patch and respect your... I mean, CHP used to always be pointing at their patch. You see this patch? You got to respect that. And I'm just like, dude, take a chill pill. You guys are all on ego trips. So this cop right here, in my opinion, is on an ego trip. He escalated this thing. He says, you're going to watch in a minute, he says, this is a warning. Okay, if a cop is giving a ticket and he's giving her a warning, then he's finished with his traffic stop. She could have signed the ticket and been on her way. You don't even have to sign a warning in Texas. I don't think you do. I can't remember. I've gotten a couple of them, but I can't remember if I signed them or not. But they just tell you it's a warning and you don't have to do anything. So, I mean, give her a warning and get on your way, dude. Why do you want to start picking at her and poking and creating a situation? Well, you know, what's your problem? You seem like you have a problem. Well, no shit. She's being pulled over. She's being stopped. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Government's putting in her life more. It's delaying her. She's getting a ticket for not using a traffic signal, which 99% of people don't use. And the guy was just giving her a warning, so he's out there saying, hey, you know, I got to justify my job. My sergeant's been on me. I got to give so many warning tickets. I got to make so many stops to make sure that I can say that I'm out here working. Otherwise, the sergeant's going to say, what have you done all day? So I got to show him something. So I'm going to pull people over for chicken shit violations and give warning tickets. Like I said, my warning tickets because I don't have a front plate. And somebody told me in Texas, you can't even get a fine for a front plate, so they can only give you a warning ticket. I've been pulled over twice for no front plate because my damn thing's broken off, keeps falling off. So, I mean, but cops need to justify why they're out there, and they got to give tickets, and it becomes, now we need more cops because we got this many tickets, and we can grow government, and we can get more government, and then we get more government benefits, then we need more money from the feds, and then the government's more in our lives, and now you got more cops trying to justify their jobs, enforcing more chicken shit stuff. So anyway, this guy is just he's part of the small problem, but right here,
you okay?
He asked her a question.
This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me to do?
You seem very irritated.
Okay, right here. So what if she seems irritated? What difference does that make? This guy doesn't need to... He's trying to start an argument with her. And obviously, in his mind, when he went up there, he was going to give her a warning and be on his way. Now, he changed his mind. Did he change it because of a criminal activity? Did he see drugs in the car? Did he see stolen property? Did he see a weapon? No. He changed his mind because he didn't like her attitude. And people shouldn't go to jail just because they got an attitude. Okay?
I really am. I feel like this cap is what I'm doing.
Notice how he slams that?
Are you done?
Are you done? You can tell he's irritated. You can tell he's changed his mind. He slammed his ticket book.
You asked me what was wrong, and I told you.
Do you mind putting out your cigarette?
Okay. The tape jumps right here, so I'm not sure what happened in between here. Whether the police cut it before they turned it out, or whether the dude who did this video cut it out. So I don't know what happened or how long, but his position doesn't change that much, so I don't think a whole lot. But when he tells her to put out the cigarette, this is a kind of control thing, and I've done it several times. If you've got somebody that's being argumentative, and they're kind of might go to a no person, and it might escalate, you tell them to put out their cigarette. Kind of, I mean, one, everybody's going to say, well, it's an officer safety issue. They could flick it at you and burn you. They could burn you with it. You don't want them to have a weapon in their hand that can burn you or distract you. They could be smoking a cigarette because they're nervous and about to run. They could be getting ready to flick it on you so they can pull a knife. So those are all the good legal terms and all the stuff that cops are taught to say on why you do it. But where cops really do it a lot of times is to show you that I've got you detained and you need to listen to me. And if you push my buttons, I'm going to push your buttons. So put your damn cigarette out. So that's what's really going on. It's a little bit of a control issue and a little bit of I'm going to exert my power over you. And if you don't listen, now we're going to escalate this into failure to comply. I felt my safety was in danger. Therefore, I had to get you to comply. Therefore, you resisted. Therefore, you're going to be arrested for resisting. I mean, it's a no-win situation. I mean, that's what this guy did. She didn't put out her cigarette. People were saying, well, why should he care? He's going to say it's an officer safety issue. The court's going to say, well, that's true. We have had officers burnt, and yeah, they could use it to distract, and yeah, they could burn the officer, and it could be an officer safety issue. She should have complied. She didn't comply. The officer felt that he was in danger. Therefore, he had to get her out of the car. I mean, this is just total BS.
Please.
I'm in my car, but I have to put out my cigarette.
Well, you can step on out now.
Okay. I'm in my car. She just showed more contempt. She said, I'm not going to listen to you. Pissed him off more. So now it gets into who's going to win this pissing contest. And since I got a badge and a gun and government power, guess what? I win.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car. Get out of the car now, or I'm going to remove you.
And I'm calling my lawyer.
I'm going to yank.
Okay, I'm calling my lawyer. That shit don't work, people. Look, if the only thing you can say is I'm calling my lawyer, you're probably going to jail. Now, you may not like it, but, cops hear this all the time, and I'm not trying to defend this cop, but she should have just went, you know what, which she did here at the end. She got out and she walked back. She was mouthing off, but she complied. But she should have done that instead of this, I'm calling my lawyer, I'm not getting out of the car. Because then she just gave him ammunition that she was being more resistive. She was failing to comply. That's going to make her not look as good.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take me out of the car.
Okay, if she's under arrest, he should have told her what? Now, what he's going to say when he testifies is she failed to put out her cigarette. I didn't want to give her my ticket book. She was being uncooperative. She was being argumentative. She said she had a problem. She had an attitude. I felt unsafe giving her my ticket book and a pen with a cigarette in her hand. I didn't know she was going to burn me, or since she was being uncooperative, I needed for officer safety her to put out her cigarette. When she refused, I wanted her out of the car so I could put out the cigarette. So it's all going to sound good. It's all going to be within policy, and he's probably going to walk. But you know what? From a cop, this is contempt of cop. He's got pissed, and he abused his authority to take it out on this person.
What?
25.7 County FM 1098.
For a failure to signal. You doing all of this for
Get over there.
Right, yeah.
Now see, she's doing good here. He's got a thing. He's not really giving her a reason. Now he moves her to the side, and people are going to say he wanted to get her out of camera. Where this woman is at right now is called the dead man zone or the no leg zone. Because if somebody, drunk driver, somebody hits the back of this cop's car, it pushes it into the car you got stopped. And if you're in between that area, you're going to get smashed or hurt, and a lot of cops get killed. So you don't want to be in this area. You don't want to do a whole lot in this area. You'll see some cops put their suspect on the hood of a car with another car on a highway. That's not a smart move because you're probably going to lose you. But the camera's here. So did he move her to get out of the camera? I don't know. But from an officer safety standpoint, most cops are taught not to put him there. That's why he moved her to the side.
Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
This right here says a warning.
Okay, right here. He was going to give her a warning ticket. Give her the damn ticket and move on, dude. Really? You want to escalate this? You got nothing else better, dude, than go arrest people for failure to give a turn signal, and then because they piss you off and you're going to give them a warning, that's how you get your arrest in your tow? That's how you feel good about protecting and serving the community and being a peace officer? Really? God, cops like this just irritate the shit out of me.
You started creating the problems.
You asked me what was wrong.
Do you have
I'm trying to
anything
tell
on
you.
your person that's illegal?
Do it feel like I got anything on me? This a fucking maxi dress.
She's still being, I mean, she's continuing to escalate. I don't blame her. Yes, she has a right. Everybody's going to be saying, she's a citizen and she has a right and she's exerting her rights and you're just protecting the cop. I'm not protecting the cop. I'm just telling you how it's going to play out and why he's not going to get charged and why the DA ain't going to prosecute him and why a jury wouldn't convict him and why the department's going to say he was within policy and she was uncooperative. Whereas if she'd have been yes, sir'n, and no, sir'n, it would be much harder for him to have done what he did.
You're about to break my wrist. Can you stop? You are about to fucking break my wrist. Stop! Full traffic signal.
You are yanking around. When you pull away from me, you're resisting.
What is she resisting arrest from? From a warning ticket on a turn signal? No, he's going to say, once she refused to put out her cigarette, it was off safety issue, and when I got out of the car, she refused. I had to use force to get out of the car, therefore I had to resist her. I had to arrest her for resisting arrest. And she kind of helped him get all this justification and articulation for his report.
Just slam me, knock my head in the ground. I got epilepsy, you motherfucker.
Good.
I hope
Good.
I thought about that before you start resisting. All right.
Now the other unit came, and of course the other unit who said you should have thought about this before you stopped. This unit came, and all she saw was this woman fighting and resisting, which is what a lot of cops see. I've got a crazy cop story that I'm going to do about me rushing in a house to help another cop that we shouldn't have been in, and we end up getting sued. But, you know, that's for another day. Anyway, that's my take on this. This guy, you know, typical representative of highway cops. A lot of them just think they are God's gift to the earth, and they have this state supreme power, and it's all about respect, and don't you question me, and don't you do anything, because I got a badge gun and government power, and I can arrest you for not using a turn signal. Really? Man, this is some chicken shit. Duh. All right, we'll end that there.
Anything wrong, you don't have to worry about us.
Your job is this right here, sir. Do you have a copy of this right here?
I don't carry it around with me.
And you're going to use force against me if I don't leave.
Saying that y'all are going to be arrested if y'all don't leave our truck.
So you're going to... Nothing crazy happening right now. I just was passing through this town. We were heading back to the trailer. And was following kind of behind this cop. And I saw him whip around and pull this guy over. Looked like he had a burnout taillight or something when the guy drove by. So I stopped there just to take a look at that. And just observing here and doing a little loving of my neighbor. Roll your window up a little bit, honey. You can bring the camera in and make sure that everything's on the up and out. How you doing, sir?
Can I help you?
Well, we're just observing.
Huh?
We're just observing.
Oh, okay.
What's going on here?
All right. No, it's just a traffic stop.
Why do you have somebody in handcuffs for a traffic stop?
Well, it's none of your concern, okay?
Well, it's very much my concern. You work for the people, and I'm just observing to try and make sure that nothing untoward's going on. But I think it's a reasonably curious question. Is it normal to put somebody in handcuffs for a traffic stop?
That's her business, okay?
Oh, hi, ma'am. How you doing?
No, it's not.
But you do need to get off my traffic stop.
No, I don't. I'm just observing.
Okay, but what I'm telling you is the person that was arrested, it's not any of your business because that's her personal business, what she got arrested for. So it's none of your concern.
No, actually, that's a matter of public record, sir.
Okay.
Okay, well, you can look it up in public record.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. And I can't force you to tell me. I mean, it would be cordial of you to do so. But I'm just observing. I'm not here to interfere. And you guys shouldn't be uncomfortable with being filmed. I mean, it looks like you have body cams yourself, so it's not like you should be uncomfortable.
Well,
can I ask how old you are? Can I ask how old you are?
Yeah. Can we ask you a question? Okay.
You can ask, yeah.
The reason why we're here right now talking to you is because we're on a traffic stop and you pulled behind us, okay?
Right.
And we don't know who you are.
Yeah, I'm well behind you. So actually, what's weird to me is that you're on a traffic stop and you're over here talking to me instead of dealing with your traffic stop.
Okay. Well, she's already detained, okay?
What's your name, sir?
I'm Officer Garcia.
Garcia, I'm Gavin. What's your name, ma'am? Cantrell.
All right.
You're pretty young. Are you new?
All right. You have a good night.
They're getting them young because they can brainwash them easy, right? Now, I wanted you to notice, though, they said, she said, you have to get off my traffic stop. No, I don't. And this is the thing, a little bit of assertiveness goes a long way, right? To be honest, I'm a little bit nervous especially of Texas cops. They have a reputation for being abusive. And look, I mean, I know the Texans get offended by this. I'm not here to pick on Texans. It's simply a fact. Texas cops are notorious for doing things they should not. People will accuse me saying, oh, Gavin, you're distracting him. No, not at all. I'm at a safe distance. I'm far less danger to anyone here than they are. And I'm just here to observe. And what I want to encourage all of you guys to do, look, you just stop and watch, right? Just stop and engage. If they talk to you, you talk to them. But you don't have to answer any of their questions. The police in America are completely out of control. Every arrest they make now, every conviction in court, it's all a violation of the Constitution, guys. The Constitution's the law. Now, for me, in a situation like this, I can't fight everything. So I'm just here to observe, make sure this doesn't turn into some kind of a beatdown or something like that, right? And here they come again.
Can y'all go ahead and leave the scene?
Am I causing you some concern?
Yes, you are, because you're behind our traffic stop. And
would it make you more comfortable if I pulled up on the side here?
That's even closer to us.
You have two choices. Either you can leave my scene or both of you are going to be arrested.
For what?
For interfering.
How am I interfering?
You're interfering with my traffic stop. I don't like you sitting right here behind me.
You don't get to dictate that, but can you call a supervisor out and I can talk to him?
We've already talked to him, okay?
Can you tell me what law I'm breaking?
You're interfering with our traffic stop, okay?
In what way am I doing that?
You're interfering, because we're over here speaking with you, okay?
Isn't it, the Supreme Court has upheld our right just to film police
I'm
officers.
going to tell you one more time.
Are you going to leave or not?
You can either leave right now with your kids in your vehicle.
Okay, so you're threatening my family with force then, is that what it is?
We're asking you to leave.
And you're going to use force against me if I don't leave.
I'm saying that y'all are going to be arrested if y'all don't leave our traffic.
So you're going to, at the point of a gun, you're going to threaten harm to my family, is that correct?
I never said that.
That's what you're saying.
Okay, one more chance. Either leave the scene or step out of the vehicle and you're going to be arrested.
Okay, well, since you're threatening my life, I'm going to move away from the scene because you guys are threatening my life and the life of my 4 kids in here. You are well outside the law. And normally, if I was by myself, I would probably refuse, but I got my family in the car. You are breaking the law right now. You're violating your oath. You're acting as criminals.
Alrighty.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move somewhere else and film you to make sure that you're not untoward to this. I want what's your badge number, ma'am?
It's 208.
Okay. I intend to have you held accountable for this. What's your rank?
Go ahead and leave, please.
I will move is what I will do. I'm not going to leave.
Well away from
I'm going to move where I want to, ma'am.
Okay, goodbye.
So here's the thing, guys. Somebody I would appreciate it. What town is this we're in?
Flute.
Oh, here's another officer.
I think.
Let's see here. Let's back up. Let's go into this parking lot here. I'm gonna get a little further away.
He's saying come here.
Nope. Roll up your window.
Hey, come here.
Hey, sir. If you want to speak to me, sir, I'll be right here. I'm just moving away. You can come over and talk. I just wanted to get out of here. These guys are nuts. How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling very threatened by the behavior of your officers here.
Okay.
Because I'm exercising my First Amendment right.
Sure.
And you guys are acting like bullies, or they are rather. I don't want to speak for you. I don't know you.
I'll go ahead and identify myself. I'm Sergeant Park. I'm the Police Department.
Are you a supervisor of these guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you're here because they threatened my family's life just now.
How so?
Because they said that we were both going to be arrested. I got 4 kids in the car. If we were both arrested, not only that, my wife has no control over me driving my vehicle.
Right.
I'm 30 feet back from them. We as the civilianry, sir,
yes.
we have to look over our shoulders all the time to see if we're being followed or if we're going to be harassed and collected by a police officer in today's
You're not
America.
doing anything wrong. You don't have to worry about us.
That's nonsense, because I wasn't doing anything wrong, and they just threatened to arrest me and my wife, which would result in my kids being taken by Child Protective Services thousands of miles from my home. Would you consider that a threat if you were out and about?
You're good. Go back. You're good.
I don't understand. You seem like a reasonable, calm person.
Absolutely.
I don't understand how you cannot understand the situations we face. You, as the officers, are supposed to be out here keeping the peace and de-escalating situations.
Exactly. They're under arrest because they have warrants for their arrest. That's not our fault. They didn't pay their tickets.
So what kind of tickets are they?
I'm not allowed to tell you that because
you are allowed. It's public record.
It's okay. Well, if it's public record, you can go research it, but I'm not going to disclose. You have no relation to the person being arrested, so
I don't know. They're humans.
I don't feel comfortable releasing their information.
Okay,
to
fair
you.
enough.
Okay.
Okay, you've got somebody that's got, let's say, 3 or 4 traffic tickets, whatever it might be on their record. Maybe it's a burnout taillight. And you think it's law to go out and take people's cars to impound, lock them away in jails with no victim because their taillight was burned out? Does that seem okay to you?
The only
Is that
thing
America?
that we do, whenever we see a traffic offense, we just issue the citation. We don't do any judgment. That's for the judge to do.
No, it's not.
It
You're
is.
all accountable.
It is. That is the procedure. We
Haven't
just issue the ticket, and then they get a court date or whatever. The judge sets the fine. Now, if they don't take care of their fine or whatever, the municipality is the one that issues the warrant.
Isn't there right and wrong? Aren't you accountable, just like the people in the Nuremberg trials? If you
I don't know how the difference in right and wrong plays into what we're talking about, though. All we know is it comes back that they have an active warrant, and then we have to take them in to jail. That's our job. We have no choice.
That's nonsense. It's
There's
not
no
your job.
choice.
Your job is this right here, sir. Do you have a copy of this right here?
I don't carry it around with me.
Well, you should. You don't carry the Constitution? Do you know what the 6th Amendment is? The 4th Amendment? You don't carry a copy of the Constitution?
We don't carry a copy of the Constitution with us, sir.
Why?
We
I want you to
also
keep
don't
that.
carry a law
You
book.
need one.
No,
That's the best.
I'm not going to take your
That
property.
is your law book. I have plenty of those.
I'm going to leave it right here because I'm not going to take your property, okay? 203, what was the location of that call I was en route to?
Area of 4th Street and Riley. First caller was from 1150 4th Street. Second caller was from 516 Riley.
What was the nature of the call?
Hearing of gunshots in the area.
That is why I have to leave. Do you understand?
Well, okay,
so
but
if
you came out here. It
please-
wasn't
if
too
you
urgent,
would-
or you wouldn't have come out here.
Well, I was concerned for the safety of my
I was
officers,
concerned for
okay?
the safety of my family, and your
Okay.
officers threatened them,
I'm
and I
gonna
want
leave
some
you. I'm gonna
disciplinary
leave you.
action taken on that front.
Everything is going good. If you would please just maintain your distance where you're at right now, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and go.
What I want you to think about tonight, I know that you have this idea that you do your job, but just remember, there's no just doing your job. There's right or wrong. You took an oath to this Constitution, whether you carry a copy or not.
Okay, well,
and this Constitution's
right and
the
wrong
law.
is an opinion, okay? So
No, it's the
harassing
law.
police officers is probably considered wrong to most people. We're just trying to do our job.
I'm not harassing anyone. I'm
We're trying to do
observing
our
you.
job. You're trying to make our job harder, okay? That's all
Actually,
you're
I made
doing.
no contact.
Okay.
You realize that your officers contacted me. I
On
didn't
my
endanger them.
orders.
I
On
did
my
not
orders.
endanger them.
But they
I was
didn't come
well
and
out of
identify
distance.
you. They didn't do anything like that. All I
wasn't giving them that option.
All I wanted you to do is just keep your distance to where you're at.
My
right
distance
now.
was kept. I was 10 feet away, sir. The difference between where I am now and there was nonsensical. You just
Okay.
wanted to exert
Okay,
your
look.
authority.
I just want you to stay about this distance.
I'm
away,
not.
okay?
The only reason I moved is because you guys threatened my family with violence.
Okay, we didn't threaten anything.
Yes, you did.
were
That's what an
threatened-
arrest is.
You were threatened that you'd be placed under arrest for interfering with a police
And if I had
investigation
attempted to
if you
defend
didn't
myself,
leave.
I wasn't interfering with nothing. You guys were leaving your
Okay.
police investigation.
I'm trying to make sure that no interference happens. I'm trying to
The
make
only one
sure
that's
that
interfered
nothing
here, sir, is
escalates.
you. The only one that's violated their oath is your officers, and that's what you need to think about. If you got a call, I don't want to keep you from it. You better get going.
I am. You have a nice night.
You too. Listen, guys, this is the norm. This is America, you guys. Now, normally, right, I've talked about this before. I'm going to resist to a point, but these people were threatening me. Make no mistake, they were threatening my life. If they had tried to illegally arrest me, I was breaking no law whatsoever, which is why none of them could cite a law. Had they tried to arrest me and I defended myself and my family, I would have been killed. Period. End of story. If I had used force to resist. That's why I'm not going to take it. That's why I moved 10 feet away to change the direction of the conversation, because I want to stay in control of this conversation. Yes, they're the bullies. Yes, they're violating their oath, but we illustrated that. We showed, here's their supervisor. He doesn't even have a constitution with him. He looked at it like, what's this? Did you see the sneer on his face? He's like, what? He looks at that. I'm just doing my job. Guys, this is Nazi Germany stuff. This person, there was no violent crime. They arrested this person and the tow truck driver. Remember we had a conversation about tow truck drivers recently? The tow truck driver is stealing their car right now. They will have to pay hundreds of dollars to get it out over what? Unpaid traffic fines that were probably illegal to write in the first place. This isn't okay. This isn't freedom. This is not justice. This is not liberty. I'm tired of my neighbors being locked in cages from every faction across the nation. I'm tired of these kids back here. I'm tired of them being put in danger and in fear. So we pushed back. We didn't run away. We kept the camera going, but I have to keep my family safe. These are false law. These are false law enforcement. This is false authority. You can pick up a camera, you can take action, and I can tell you from experience, usually the cops aren't this psycho. Generally, you can point a camera at them and they'll leave you alone, but you'll notice I stayed in the car, windows half up, doors locked, cameras going before I engaged with them, backup camera, another backup camera. So we had to go in. Okay, guys, say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. What? Do you have anything to say?
They're a bunch of minions.
They're a bunch of minions. I think that's about right. They're a bunch of minions doing what they're told. Anything to say? No? Asher, anything to say? All right, guys. We're going to go get some rest.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell. See you later.